Hey guys, we're going to look at pulling in additional data on an existing curve today. This is a pretty common comment from the review staff. You'll get this pull in additional data either with a specific curve name or on every curve in your segment. And the reason that happens is because, as you can see, this curve has captured two passes, right? One eastbound, one westbound. It's drawn in Riker with two passes, and you can see that here when I have it pulled up. I've copied the curve name and pasted it into the curve name field on the curves tab, click the radio button to pull it up. This curve has two passes, 1, 2. That's how it was drawn. However, the reason that the review staff sent you this line item of pull in additional data on this curve is because when they were reviewing this segment, they have found that there are two additional passes in the data sessions layer that were not captured when the processor drew this curve. So this pull in additional data means that there's more data that exists in cars than we currently have captured. And so the way that we pull in that additional data and get 4 passes into this curve is, number one, we pull up the curve in the curves tab, copy the curve name, paste it in, and click the radio button. So I'm here, I'm at this curve. Then I'm going to hop over to data sessions, and I'm going to redrop my data session pins around this curve. That tells the system I want to pull everything that has passed through this piece of roadway. I want to pull all that data up. And once Riker stops spinning and I drop my data sessions pins, what we're going to see is that instead of just 2 lines of green GPS dots, we're going to see these other 2 passes come up in Riker. I promise you, as soon as this stops spinning. There's multiple reasons that this could have happened. I'll get into that in a sec. So I'm on data sessions, and I'm just going to redrop my data session pins on either side of this roadway. And what we're going to see is we'll have more data in cars than we had in the curve itself. Now this could happen because maybe this was the other 2 passes were driven at a later date. Like there really were only 2 passes when the curve was created, and the roadway was driven again after the curve was created. But the more common issue is that when you're processing the curves, you reach the end of a data session and you started pulling up only 2 passes and you forgot to redrop your data session pins to see if there was extra data there. So you can see here, Riker is loading up some extra data that is not currently included in the curve. So once this stops spinning, we will return to the curves tab. Now the data has been pulled up. We just have to get it into this curve to get our passes up to the required number of passes. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to click Edit Curve, and I'm just going to jiggle the PC or PT pins just a tiny bit. And that's going to refresh the data in the curve. And since we have this extra data, it'll pull it in. So I can see my extra data sessions here. Whoops, that was a mistake. Didn't mean to zoom in. Now I have to sit. But again, I'll click Edit Curve. I'll click and drag and move one of the pins ever so slightly just to refresh the curve net that I've dropped, and it'll pull in this extra data. So you can see even more clearly, there's data on this road that is not being captured by this curve. So I click Edit Curve, and I'm not going to move it very far I don't want to change the shape. I mean, this curve is fine as is. Might be a little bit long on this side, but I'm not really worried about that. I'm literally just going to click and drag, you know, a centimeter. And you can see that has pulled in the extra 2 passes. Now I have 4 passes in this curve, and I can save it. You may, if sometimes one jiggle won't do it, and you'll have to move it again. You have to move it a couple times if it doesn't pull in the extra data. Or you can also try moving the other pin. Sometimes it's finicky. This one was fine. It pulled everything on the first move. But if it doesn't pull in the extra data on the first pin jiggle the same pin multiple times and then move over to the other pin if you still can't pull the data in. So I've got 4 passes and I'm good to go. I'm going to save my changes. And remember, if that was the only curve that I was looking at, and this was the one that we were looking at, I'm then going to change the status to updated to tell the review staff that I made this fix, and I can move on to my next segment. Thanks a ton for watching, everybody. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to our fabulous Ops Support HCA YouTube channel.